my schoolwork and other priorities started slipping. I became now what they call an adolescent, or a defiant adolescent. It wasn't much for discipline, so I continued down the road of my defiance. I started ditching school and smoking pot. I guess my mom had finally gotten fed up with what I was doing because she sent me to live with my dad, hoping it would get me to understand what I was doing wasn't going to work for much longer. By this time, I was done caring about what my parents wanted me to do and not do. What my mom thought was going to set me straight got me more into what I was doing. My dad let me smoke, drink, and keep acting like an idiot. I continued the drug and alcohol use, but started going to school. I finished up my middle school year with my dad, and was sent off to live with my grandparents. As soon as I started high school, I was back into what I did best at the time. I was partying every night, definitely not going to school in the morning. So needless to say, I was shipped off to the next family member. I moved in with my aunt in Highlands Ranch, which is where the real struggle really began. I began experimenting with other drugs, seeing what each one of them did to me. Eventually it all caught up to me because I was arrested with a bottle of pills, which landed me in jail with a felony. Imagine a 14-year-old kid just out of middle school in jail with a felony. I got out and was put on probation, which I couldn't comply with anyway, so I was right back in jail waiting for the next round of probation to ensue. And finally, it came time for me to have another chance at probation. They thought it would be best to have me at a rehab facility. I spent the next 8 months in rehab going to school and being treated for my issues. As soon as I got out of there, I threw all of my treatment out the window, started right back up where I left off. I was living with my mom once again, and it wasn't long before I was back in jail with a probation violation. I continued down my road of drugs and other roadblocks, when finally the courts and my family decided they were fed up with the bullshit. I was committed to the Division of Youth Corrections at the age of 16. It hit me like a bucket of ice water in the deepest sleep you can imagine. I went through countless hours of feeling sorry for myself. How could this happen to me? I didn't do anything that bad. Then I decided nothing is a better time to grow up than now. There were no more nudges to get me to grow up. It was time for a shove. I was sent to rite of passage. I learned quickly that things had to change. There was no way of faking my way out of the program. ROP is basically a boot camp for what the system calls at-risk youth. We run 3 miles a day, and on weekends we run 3 miles twice a day. The program is like being in the Army, so there really is no way of taking an easy route through the program. While I've been at ROP, I've done a lot of productive things. I've gotten certified in many different trades, such as electrical, drywall installation, and surface finishing. I've also been enrolled full-time at a high school while I've been there. Throughout all of my years of school, I've always been a math and science kid. These two subjects are what I've always found interesting. When I got to high school, I would ditch all the other classes and make it to my math and science class. If you looked at my transcript for the 9th grade, the only credit I got was in math and science. I've always been proficient in my other subject areas, though. On my ACT, my highest score was a 27 in reading. My writing skills are sufficient enough. I'm not a creative person, so writing really hasn't ever appealed to me. As I was coming closer to graduating, I found theater. I enjoy all aspects of theater. I've done a lot of stage work for various plays. I've had the privilege to act in a few of them as well. I was part of an independent theater company called OBT, stood for Outcast Binding Theater. We wrote and performed our own play. We named it Echoes, as you can see. This is the cast right there. I was in Hamlet as well. Here's the cast members from that. And since I found theater, it's been a passion for me. I love it, every part of it. Through theater, I've learned to be much more comfortable with myself. It's taught me a lot of different non-cognitive skills. It was still a way for me to learn outside the classroom. I'm able to put myself out there for others to see instead of sitting back and not being seen. It's also taught me how to be more open with people and how to make friends. Non-cognitive skills are a very important thing to learn, even though schools most of the time overlook them. You can be a genius but have no people skills if you were taught non-cognitive skills. Non-cognitive skills are your basic skills like self-control, creativity, critical thinking, and so on. Through rite of passage and just growing up, I have developed a much higher impulse control system. I used to do everything without thinking of what could happen. Impulse control, in my opinion, is a very, very important non-cognitive skill. Everybody needs to be able to control most of their impulses, because if we didn't, then the world would be even more dysfunctional than it is. I came back to Hidden Lake at the end of my senior year. I got enrolled in the English class in order to finish my credits. Now I have to make a final decision as the end of my school year has approached. I think about all my options every day, still haven't gotten to a conclusion. I've been looking into getting into the electrical union with Local 68. I'm working on getting accepted into apprenticeship, which will last anywhere between 1 and 4 years. I've done a lot of good things, bad things with my life. I can tell you truthfully that I've learned so much looking back at all the troubles and hardships. I don't have a normal high school education like most would, but I could bet that I've learned way more than most youth coming out of high school. Now I'm 17 years old. I have my foot in the door of a great electrical job. I'll be graduating on time with my class. If I wouldn't have gone through all the stuff I went through, I could be graduating now without any sense of where to go next. Probably start the drug road now. Since I have already been through it, I can move on and start preparing for life with a family. Life where there is nowhere to go but forward. I've lived all the bad things of life that life throws at you, and now it's time to start the good. I appreciate all you coming out here to support me. I can truthfully say that giving me my high school diploma is the best thing you could do for me. I've learned so much in the short years that I've lived on this earth, and it's time for me to move on from high school and learn new things that high school can't teach you. If I was able to overcome all the struggles I had, then each and every one of you can do great things. We are the new generation, and it's time to change the world.